What's up, everyone? Today we will be watching this new Bora City magazine video with a topic which probably needs to be talked about, but the title is the BTS Solo Promotions, favoritism or proper strategy. Now, I basically was here for the whole journey of everyone's solo promotions, and in my opinion, I just enjoyed the ride. I know that every member had a chance to express themselves the way they wanted to, which is why everyone did something so different. And I thought it was very fun and interesting to see every member release their solo album, to see what they wanted to do, the type of music they wanted to release, the shows they wanted to appear on for their promotions, all those things. But I have seen a lot of other people complain, and I think that's mainly because those people keep comparing the members, when in reality this was supposed to be, as they say, their solo debut. They're walking in this as if they are new artists, and obviously every artist has different visions and music, so that will result in different albums and different promotions for each member. We have to treat them as individual artists for these promotions, because people don't really look at hype and complain between groups like, oh, why did this group do this but you didn't do that with this other group. People don't really compare groups like that too much. So if you start comparing every BTS member and their solo albums, obviously you're going to find differences, but it's not because I think it was favoritism or sabotage or anything like that. I think it's simply because every member wanted something different. But another thing, we don't exactly know what the members told Hybe what they wanted. Yeah, we're seeing all their solo promotions and assuming, oh, they did it because that's what they wanted to do. Maybe some members wanted to do more and the company told them that they couldn't. But the truth is, we don't actually know that. So we shouldn't start assuming and saying, oh, wow, Hybe, this member clearly wanted to do more and you didn't let him. That's just assuming things. So yeah, that's all I gotta say for now. I'll watch the video and see what it talks about. Also, I am curious to see counter arguments, so at the end I will scroll through the comments of the video and see if I find anyone who doesn't agree, just to see other people's opinions and see what people who don't agree have to say. But anyways, let's start watching the video.
Now that all of the BTS members have debuted as solo artists, let's analyze why their projects are also different. It's not only about the different genres and sounds, it's also about the differences in the style of promotions, target audiences, and results. Because this is the reality. A BTS member had a global tour, but another member had one concert at a festival. Another member only had one
everyone did something
concert,
different.
and another member didn't have any concerts. A BTS member had 3 physical albums, but another member only had 2. Another member only had 1. Another member only had 1 CD with no photo cards, stickers, and other things the other albums got. But another member didn't get a physical album that charts could count when he first debuted.
Alright, so when I first saw the Jack in the Box album at first, I was one of the people who was sad and said that I wished we would have gotten an actual physical album. But then, a long time later, J-Hope revealed that this was his idea and that he felt bad and like he disappointed us. So that's when I realized that, everything that the members did, they probably just agreed to do it. So we should take that into account.
A member didn't get a physical album that charts could count when he first debuted. A BTS member had promotions in the US, the UK, and South Korea, but another member only promoted in the US and Korea. Another member promoted in Korea and Japan, and another member barely did any promotions. A BTS member debuted a #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and his song was the #1 song worldwide for weeks on a row. But another
in that case,
and his song was the #1 song.
Hey, the type of genre one does dictate the popularity somehow. Some genres are just more popular than others.
Worldwide for weeks on a row. But another member only debuted at #1 on the Hot 100. Another member almost entered the top 50, but another only entered the top 100.
Look, it was gonna be impossible to have everyone's solo journey basically be the same. Like there was gonna be so many differences.
When you phrase things like this, conflict awaits.
Yeah.
Fans complain about unequal support by the
They keep
label,
comparing.
unequal support by fans, and of course, unequal results. But I think these comparisons are unfair and at this point, malicious. Because if you really think about the intention of each project, you can see the different visions the BTS members had for their solo music careers. If you really want to measure promotion efforts and success, let's talk about how each promotion schedule helped gain the attention of their specific target audiences. And let's also realize that some promotions are actually counterproductive for some members but beneficial for others. You may think I'm crazy, but sometimes a #1 on the US can hurt an album's chances to be consumed by certain audiences. Of course, other times it can help the project, but it all comes down to the artist's vision and target audience. So I'll try to explain
Okay, so everyone had a different vision,
but
a different
it all
target
comes down to the
audience.
artist's vision and target audience. So I'll try to explain why I don't think any BTS member, song, or album has been sabotaged by Big Hit, Hype, ARMY, and much less BTS.
Yeah, I see a lot of people saying that the company is sabotaging some of their members. That doesn't really make any sense because they spend all this money so that an album can release a solo album. And then when it's released and it's time to earn money and get their money back, why would they sabotage it and lose money? Like, it makes
After
no sense.
analyzing every single piece of promotion, I actually think that every promotion decision has been smart and effective.
Okay, so we're gonna go through every single member by the looks of
The
it.
member who started the BTS solo era was J-Hope. Like the other members part of the rap line, J-Hope released his first solo project as a mixtape. This is not his official solo debut. Hope World and the other solo mixtapes did not have official promotions, but they were shared on social media by Big Hit.
Yeah, and I guess that's true. Some of the members had mixtapes, but they didn't count those as debuts, even though they had music videos.
These type of projects were side projects shared for ARMYs as a gift or as extra free music. This is important to highlight so we can understand why some BTS members do certain promotions and not others. Confused ARMYs and J-Hope solo stans can say that J-Hope's Jack in the Box debut album was sabotaged by Big Hit and Hype because it was released with no physical versions and no performances in Western TV shows or K-pop shows. These three things are expected in a regular BTS promotion schedule.
Alright, physical, Western promo, and
This
Korean
is J-Hope's
promo.
solo career, so look at what he did do and conclude what new audience he wanted to attract. For what I can see, J-Hope wants his debut album Jack in the Box to be a long-lasting record listened to not only by ARMYs but also by global fans of hip-hop. People who are
targeting
actually
hip-hop?
interested in hip-hop as a genre.
Hip-hop audience.
J-Hope, he got ambitions to go worldwide.
And J-Hope is not necessarily going to attract this specific audience by performing on K-pop TV shows or American TV shows like Jimmy Fallon and Good Morning America, watched by an older American demographic. Actually, if he did, he will probably lose the specific audience he's trying to attract. For what I can see, he is not interested in the general public listening to the Billboard Hot 100 songs. He prefers promoting to an audience interested in hip-hop no matter the language. This is a tricky audience to target, but I think every decision he made was perfect. To start, J-Hope was
Yeah, and I guess if he's targeting that type of audience, it's less mainstream, so
the first and only BTS member to launch his
explain
album with a listening
if the song didn't like do really well globally for a long time.
party. If you pay attention to the artists he invited, you can see that these are mostly indie hip-hop artists. Most of them are not mainstream, but they are respected in the South Korean hip-hop and alternative music scenes.
He was going
This
for that
listening party
underground
sets the tone for
hip-hop.
the rest of his solo promotions. J-Hope's debut solo performance was as a headliner in Lollapalooza 2022 in
Now this was real freaking dope. That Lollapalooza performance, yo, J-Hope
Chicago.
absolutely
His
popped
concert
off.
had an audience of over 100,000 people,
There was 100,000 people there?
including in Chicago. His concert had an
Damn, has BTS even like performed in a concert with that much capacity?
audience of over 100,000 people, including ARMYs, the general public, and of course, curious hip-hop fans. This strategy was extremely successful because after the event, there were a lot of hip-hop fans listening to the music of a BTS member for the first time, whether in person or online. This event
Yeah, and also his song with J. Cole, On the Street. I also saw that a lot of new people started getting interested in J-Hope because of that song. So hey, it does work.
Also gave J-Hope the
Strategy.
opportunity to meet and then record a song with the artist who inspired his name,
speaking
J.
of-
Cole. This collaboration and his concert at Lollapalooza gave him an attractive image to this specific audience, the type of audience who prefers simple, individual, or one-on-one conversations with no audience and a minimalistic or improvised backstage set. These are the only type of interviews he did, and it was intentional, in my opinion. The only exception was his interview at the Seasons, but this is also very strategic because this is not a K-pop show watched by K-pop fans. Unlike K-pop shows, the Seasons has long interviews with no rehearsed answers by idols doing aegyo and an ending fairy and performing a choreography with playback.
That
For
happens
this
a lot.
same reason, the interview
the other
reads,
shows.
the performances, and the audience watching the show are different. Thanks to this, J-Hope has the freedom to do a more personal performance he wouldn't be able to do on a K-pop TV show. The last thing to note about J-Hope's solo
Yeah, it does seem like everything he did would be something that he wanted to do.
debut is the pace of promotions. He didn't do every interview and performance the first 2 weeks of the album release.
It was like
This
9
could
months.
put his Billboard and Korean charts positions in risk, but that's okay because that was not his goal. He actually performed in Lollapalooza.
Wait, I never thought about that. But if you release all the content for your album at once, it gets a lot of people talking and interested, and will make it chart. Could make it chart very quickly on Hot 100, Global 200. But I guess a strategy where you make it long term, then it's going to be more tough.
in risk, but that's okay because that was not his goal. He actually performed in Lollapalooza 2 weeks after his album release, and he continued with promotions with months in between each promo. Almost 5 months after the release of the album, he performed at the 2022 Mama, which let him do a unique stage with no choreography. Then, 6 months after his debut, J-Hope performs at Times Square New Year's Eve. 7 months after his debut, he releases and promotes his J-Hope in the Box documentary on Disney Plus and has an interview on a popular YouTube channel. 9 months after the release of his album, he performs and has an interview on The Seasons. As you can see, the promotions are focusing on longevity more than on day one success. So J-Hope's records reflect that.
He's the only member who did something with that lasted so long, huh? Like many months later, still releasing stuff, performances.
Focusing on longevity more than on day one success. So J-Hope's records reflect that. Here comes the biggest complaint. When J-Hope released Jack in the Box, the physical album did not come with a physical CD. They came with most small things you would get in a regular BTS physical album.
So, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. At first, when I found out about this, that there was no physical album, I thought it was Hybe who just didn't want to support him, alright? I fell into the trap of blaming Hybe for this. But then, of course, I'm not exactly sure where, but J-Hope later on revealed that this was his idea. So when all of us were complaining and being sad that there was no physical album, it got J-Hope upset because he said he felt disappointed, and that did make me feel bad and guilty. So I'm sorry, J-Hope, and I think it's a lesson to be learned, right? That whatever they did with their solo promotions, they agreed to it. So if you're talking shit on something about their solo promotions, well, you're basically talking shit on the member.
QR code to listen to the songs on the Weverse Albums app. This code replaced the CD, and for that, it did not count on Western charts like Billboard. Since this was the first time BTS did this, and the Weverse Albums app is a new app by Hybe, people accused Hybe of affecting J-Hope's debut numbers, of purposefully sabotaging him just to...
This is what they're all saying about in the beginning. People start making assumptions and blaming the company. So
BTS did this, and the Weverse Albums.
So the code would actually take you to their new albums app?
App is a new app by Hybe. People accuse Hybe of affecting J-Hope's debut numbers, of purposefully sabotaging him just to promote their streaming app. But again, look at J-Hope's overall promotion.
Now that is a fair point, all right, because it does have you thinking like, why would they make it go to their new app instead of something that could maybe help with his sales, his numbers? But maybe J-Hope agreed to do it like this, but maybe he didn't know that it was gonna lead them to the albums app, or maybe he just didn't think about it much. Maybe they told him, oh, J-Hope, we're gonna have the code sent them to the albums app, And he was just like, oh, all right, because he didn't know maybe it would affect his numbers or that it wouldn't be taken into account with the Western data.
Touching him just to
like, these are the things we gotta think about. You don't gotta just immediately assume like, oh, hype. You're purposefully sabotaging your
promote
artist.
their streaming up. But again, look at J-Hope's overall promotions. Every interview or performance was far apart. This doesn't mean that the promotions are bad. Actually, these type of promotions are very common with Western artists because they are less exhausting for both the artist and the audience, and it can improve longevity.
True.
It's true that he released his debut album almost exclusively on digital platforms, but 6 months later, he released a well-produced vinyl record.
Yeah,
and now, more than a year after the debut week, he released physical albums that count toward the Billboard charts.
With member
These are the
unboxings.
type of promotions you have when you want your album to be discovered and remembered by fans time and time again over the years, not just the first 2 weeks. This helps with longevity and helps his desired audience, hip-hop listeners, have multiple chances of discovering his music. The unique performances and simple interviews that will be discovered will not disappoint this audience because these are the type of performances and interviews they already enjoy. So the results successfully match the promotions.
Okay. I mean, that made sense, all right? J-Hope, his album, he catered towards a certain audience. And look, we can't really complain too much. He did a lot. He gave us a bunch of performances, especially the one at Lollapalooza, the album, the music videos, all the interviews, and the documentary. So he did do quite a bit.
Really enjoy.
And
so
it lasted a long time.
Successfully match the promotions.
Ooh, Jin? Now Jin, of course, only
Next,
a single.
we have Jin's solo debut single, The Astronaut, which he released as a See You Later song before going to the military. The biggest complaint I've seen about Jin's debut is from solo stans saying that this is not a proper debut because most members had album debuts, but Jin only had a single. The assumption is because most members had album debut.
But isn't that only because maybe Jin, I don't know, maybe he didn't have time to complete a whole album, or maybe he didn't want to. You know, making an album is a lot of work, especially writing songs and stuff like that, and recording all the music videos, doing all the promotions. It is a lot of work. So, and he had his military service coming up, so you can't really blame him for only releasing a single.
But Jin only had a single. The assumption is not that Jin decided to release a single, but that HYBE and even BTS are at fault because Jin said that he wanted to go to the military earlier during the summer, right after the end of the Proof promotions in June. Therefore, according to some people, Jin was forced by the other BTS members and their label to wait until October for their unexpected Busan concert. So
wait, I remember him saying that he didn't want to join the military in winter because apparently it's like a lot worse like that. But come on, would the other members really force Jin like that? I don't know. It seems kind of weird to think about the BTS members talking to Jin and telling him, yo, Jin, forget about what you want to do, man. You got to help the group out. You got to release something. You got to perform with us at the Busan concert. I don't know. Doesn't really seem like them. Obviously, if Jin stayed, there had to be some part of him that did it because he wanted to.
BTS members and their label to wait until October for their unexpected Busan concert. So he had no choice other than to go to the military on the winter and quickly release The Astronaut after being busy with everything. This gave him only days to promote his song. So there were no interviews in America and no music shows in Korea. He only performed as a guest artist in Coldplay's concert in Argentina. However, you don't need
so everything was so fast and they had to do everything soon. There wasn't time to plan more things.
To be a genius to realize.
But he still did a couple interviews on YouTube, and he had the whole
that The Astronaut
a whole
was
bunch of
not
videos
made for the general public's consumption. Like Jin said multiple times, he wanted to make one song for armies before going to the military. He talked to Chris Martin from Coldplay about the kind of message he wanted to transmit, and Chris Martin produced the song specifically for Jin. This was not meant to be an official debut with a non-army audience in mind. This doesn't mean that it was
that's true, because the song has a message basically towards army.
An abandoned project. The Astronaut is Jin's official debut single and had 2 physical album
Yeah,
versions,
still
a
had
music
an
video,
album.
a lyric video, a live stadium performance, official merchandise, and even a show of 4
All right.
episodes with a blog style.
Yeah, like he
also
still did quite a bit.
5 interviews, 1 by himself, 1 with Suga, and 3 in
Even if they
relaxed,
didn't have much time
non-serious
to
settings,
plan it
2
out.
for YouTube channels and 1 for TV. All of these
Running Man, that's true. Yo, people really complaining? Hey, for just a single, you know, he did give us a lot.
interviews and shows helped him relax and comfortably talk in his native language about his life and future. So once again, these
That's what I liked about his interviews and his appearances, right? They were all very relaxed, casual, and hilarious.
BTS Solo project was successfully recognized by its desired audience. In this case, ARMY. We would have to wait
Yeah, clearly it was a song just for ARMY, so
for Jin's solo debut album after his military service to know what kind of music style and new audience he wants to pursue.
Wait.
Military service to know.
So when Jin comes out, is he gonna release an album? I never thought about that.
What kind of music
That would be
style
real
and new
awesome.
audience he wants to pursue.
But yeah, he's gonna have a lot of months available.
The next BTS member to officially.
But yeah, with Jin again, no complaints. He released The Astronaut, very sweet song. For ARMY, he still did a lot of activities and interviews, even appeared on Running Man, YouTube shows. I don't see the problem with that.
The next BTS member to officially debut was RM with his album Indigo. What I've seen people saying is that ARMYs did not support RM's debut like we supported the other solo debuts. But once again, did not support RM's debut.
Okay, so I feel like this happens because most ARMY I see are pretty casual, you know? Like only a small part actually care about actively supporting the group, because there are strategies that you can do, right? Like specific playlists that are to help a song out. They'll put like one song and then another song and then the first song as well, because apparently you can't have 2 songs together or it doesn't count. It counts as a bot, you know, a bunch of things like that. Voting, right? You can vote for BTS at award shows to really help them out. You could do things to actively try to support them, but most don't do that. Most literally just watch BTS because they like it. They'll listen to the songs that they like, to the new content, and if they like it, they'll continue to listen to it. If not, they'll probably just forget about it. So judging by the fact that every member literally did a different type of album with like a different genre, then obviously their numbers and their streams were going to be very different, because only, like I said, only a small part of ARMY actually tries to support everyone every time with everything.
Like we supported the other solo debuts. But once again, pay attention. Support RM's debut like we supported the others.
Like we supported the other solo debuts. I think that's just because, I don't know, maybe some other debuts had a genre that more people liked, so more people listened to it.
Solo debuts. But once again, pay attention to the type of audience who is actually listening and RM is promoting to. As part of Indigo's promotions, RM accepted only 4 interviews, all of them in the format of a long conversation. These were for the Sex Sense show, hosted by an American interviewer he trusts, the P6 show, hosted by comedians who interview mostly hip-hop artists and who Namjoon is a fan of, Sutrita, hosted by his BTS band Suga, and KBS News, a pretty serious South Korean news show.
Yeah, the KBS News was interesting. It was very like formal.
And KBS News, a pretty serious South Korean news show. Namjoon chose these 4 shows wisely, and he made sure ARMYs knew why he really wanted to do these interviews only.
This is the only YouTube promotion for my whole album. Why? I've watched every show.
When it comes to interview, what popped up in my mind first was you. I told the label that if I have to interview with somebody, it's gotta be Zach #1.
Brother, thank you. Your kindness and your trust means the world to me.
So
yeah, the members probably just did promotions they wanted to do. Like Jin and V, they appeared on Running Man, and I saw their episodes, and both times they said, oh, it's because I watched this show and I really like it, so they wanted to be on it.
So why these shows? If you watch these interviews, you can quickly realize he had his album and the album's production process as the main topics of conversation. Most interviewers don't ask RM meaningful questions.
Oh,
and
yeah,
if they do ask important questions about the music, they don't care or they don't understand the answer. Most interviews have superficial conversations.
Do you guys like to dance at your shows? Do you do a lot of dancing?
추는 거 좋아하시죠?
Bro, nah, you can tell this guy has just never seen a BTS performance or probably even heard a song.
Dance?
What? Asking them if they dance
shows, do you do a lot
at
of
their
dancing?
shows. They should have just messed with him and been like, nah, man, we don't. We just sit down usually,
거 좋아하시죠?
chill out.
You guys are all
Sing
together,
while
but
sitting.
you didn't bring your girlfriends.
When someone knows and recognizes you, do you have to run away?
Do you ever get tired of each other? Do you guys ever just...
So Namjoon
I mean, hey, I guess these interviewers, they just are just doing their job and they interview a lot of people. I don't know. They can't know about everyone, I guess.
Do you have to run away?
Do you ever get tired
But
of each
yeah,
other? Do you guys
dumb
ever
questions
just...
are
So
common.
Namjoon chose people he knew would understand and care about his process of creating music. That was his priority. Indigo is not the general public's
Yeah, I get
favorite
that. I get that. He doesn't want to do an interview where they don't actually care about his album. So he
creating
chose
music.
people who
That
would.
was his priority. Indigo is not the general public's favorite type of album, and Namjoon knew
It's
that.
not?
So if there's a new type of audience he would attract after his official solo debut,
I mean, what type of audience is Indigo for then? I don't really know. Feels like every song was so different and obviously featured a different artist to help out. It's a tough one, you know? It's like a very specific type of album. It's really good, but
knew that.
I'm not sure how to
So
explain
if there's
it.
a new type of audience he would attract after his official solo debut, is the type of audience who likes indie underground
Oh.
music. The type of audience who
underground?
enjoys discovering unknown artists and who appreciates less mainstream genres like neo soul, boom bap, urban, city pop, and folk. This is
Yeah, I
why
guess
the
it does
only
feel like
performance
that.
he did for American media was for NPR's Tiny Desk concert series. The setting is more personal than most mainstream shows, and a lot of enthusiastic music fans want to discover non-mainstream artists as well as watch popular artists relax in this type of unplugged acoustic setting.
Yeah, their
So a
performances there are
confident
always
yet vulnerable
good.
performer and great lyricist like RM shines the most in this type of settings. This is why instead of having a worldwide tour, he chose to give one concert to an
Yeah,
audience
small
of
one.
only
Keep
200
it personal.
people. This concert has some of the artists who featured in his album.
Oh
The
yeah,
list
like even though it was small and for only a small amount of people, he invited some of the artists, he performed every song in the album and more, so yeah, he still put a lot of effort into it.
of featured artists is also something not everyone can fully appreciate. Most of the songs part of Indigo have featured artists RM deeply admires. For his neo soul song,
And it's crazy how perfectly well he chose every artist for the songs he did.
the featured artist is the queen of neo soul, Erykah Badu. For his funk song, the featured artist is Anderson .Paak, known for his funky style.
Yeah.
RM also included artists he admires but aren't as worldwide famous, such as Kim Sae-wol and Colt.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know, he didn't, when he was choosing artists to help out with the songs to sing with, it seems like he didn't really choose people based on like popularity or who was gonna help him have the most streams or help him make the song do really well. He clearly just chose people that he likes and that he feels would do really well with the song.
This album also has a lot of references to painters and their art pieces such as Yoon and Still
It's a
Life.
very
RM's
RM
debut
album.
Indigo is for the music fans who care about meaning and art. This is why he chose to have only one physical version of his album instead of the normal two.
Yeah, like RM, you put a lot of thought into like everything, even just the album, the photos, the promotions, the songs,
This,
the
alongside the
lyrics.
fact that the physical versions took weeks to be delivered, affected his album
Oh.
sales numbers.
Wait, what's this?
But
After initially debuting as a digital-only album, then dropping...
the physical versions took weeks to be delivered,
Oh, so they were a little bit late with the delivery? Now, I hope nobody started saying, oh, hi, you're sabotaging RM by not delivering his his album. I mean, I'm sure it was just some simple problem with the delivery company, or maybe while manufacturing the album
affected his album sales numbers. But caring too much about that is crazy and shows that you're not paying attention to all the meaning of
like some of the complaints that people have sometimes can just have simple answers like this. Like I said, like maybe it was just a problem with the manufacturing or the shipping company.
It's crazy and shows that you're not paying attention to all the meaning of this project. RM purposefully left all the flashy photo cards, stickers, and photo shoots aside. Instead, he made his physical album some type of art piece. The pages are full of poems, graphic artwork, and photographs taken by RM. He also released a vinyl record months after the album debut, which, just like the physical album, includes RM's artwork pieces. His third and last performance was at Dia Beacon, a museum in New York with no audience. So, of course, most people won't get it, but the ones who can perceive and appreciate RM's passion in this album are the correct people listening and becoming fans.
RM's album was full of passion.
And by all the records RM was able to achieve with such an experimental album, I can say that his minimalistic yet meaningful promotions have been detected by the right people. Armies and music fans who care about stuff like this. Once again, this BTS solo project was successfully recognized by its desired audience.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, RM's album, it's pretty hard to describe or explain, you know. Got a whole bunch of genres and styles, so maybe that is a reason as to why maybe it didn't chart as much as we thought it would. But
BTS solo project was successfully recognized by its desired audience.
Maybe we just got so used to BTS songs always charting and doing really well recently that we expected that from every member.
The next BTS member to officially debut was Jimin with his album Face. Face is a pop album, and its promotions were a little closer to a regular BTS promotion schedule. Jimin released teasers for the pre-release single Set Me Free Part 2 and the main single Like Crazy, which he released alongside the full album.
Both around 100 million?
Is similar to J-Hope's schedule, which also included teasers and a pre-release single before the main single. On the other hand, RM released teasers and music videos for a main single and a follow-up single, as well as a surprise music video for a B-side which became an OST. It's important to note these differences, because although some promotions like Jimin and J-Hope's are similar in some aspects, that doesn't mean that they are targeting the same audiences.
I mean, yeah, their music was so different.
J-Hope's album was targeted at a global hip-hop audience, but Jimin's album was targeted at a global pop audience. And for that, promotions in a show like Jimmy Fallon work better. So Jimin was a main guest at the
he did some US promotions. He's got an English version of Like Crazy.
A show starring Jimmy Fallon where he had an interview and performed his main single. We also need to highlight that Jimin's interview was mostly in English, so he had to practice most of his answers since he doesn't dominate the language.
I appreciate
but this decision of taking the challenge of speaking English made sense since Jimin's main single being promoted in America was the English version of Like Crazy, not the original Korean version. This is also why he performed the English version at the Jimmy Fallon show. Other BTS member will later also attend the Jimmy Fallon show, but his choices will be the complete opposite of Jimin's because his target audience is different. The only other promotion Jimin did for America was a day in the life style of interview for Vogue. Then he started the Korean TV promotions. Like I mentioned, K-pop shows have more. Then he started the Korean TV.
Bro, this is Chaemin and Eunchae, right? Yo, YouTube recommended me like one short clip of those two, and then I saw it, and now they just blast my homepage with clips of those two.
Like I mentioned, K-pop shows
they're pretty funny, alright. I still watch it.
Superficial interviews and flashy performances, but Jimin's pop songs and difficult choreographies shine the most in these type of settings. J-Hope's Jack in the Box performances don't have choreographies, so they work best in a hip-hop show than in a K-pop show. To still demonstrate a more
because that's true, huh? J-Hope his didn't have
So they
choreographies.
work best in a hip-hop show than in a K-pop show. To still demonstrate a more vulnerable and casual side, Jimin
I just
had
saw
a
that.
lengthy interview at SBS Radio, as well as an interview and performance of a jazz version of Like Crazy
Yo, that
in
jazz
the show
version.
Limousine Service.
that was
These
so good.
interviews were not as complicated as RM's interviews, but they were still introspective and personal enough to explain the meaning of his pop album Face in an accessible way to global audiences. As expected,
And
Jimin also
they're not mentioning it, but everyone also did their Weverse live where they explained basically their whole album. Well, except V, but everyone else
album
basically
Face
did.
in an accessible
have a live
way
where they
to
talked
global
about it.
audiences. As expected, Jimin also went to Suga's show Sutrita. Like Jin and RM, Jimin made a video for a popular YouTube channel. And like Jin, Jimin released 2 physical versions of his album. Finally, Jimin was the first member to release remixes of his main single and to have video calls. Jimin was the first member to release
I usually, whenever they release remixes, I only listen to them like very few times and then just go back to the original.
his remixes of his main single and to have video calls with fans. However, many complained that all of these promotions ended too fast because only 2 weeks after
Right.
Suga started promoting his debut album. While I do agree
Yeah, I did hear that a lot because very, very shortly after they started promoting everything with Yoongi, and I think the entire Jimin promotions were only like 9-10 days, so it did feel a bit like packed. Like every content that they had, they packed it into those 10 days. But if he had more time, maybe he wouldn't even have had like more interviews or more content or more performances. Maybe if they had more time, he would have just like not release everything a new video every day. Maybe it just would have been 2-3 weeks of Jimin, but the exact same content spread out, which maybe in the end just
that
doesn't
Face
matter.
felt like a very short era, I don't really see what else he could have done. Actually, Jimin did more promotions than any other member up until this point.
Because he did do a lot. The only thing was that because the time was short, it felt like every day we were getting 1 or 2 videos, which felt
This all went
like it didn't even
really
give us
fast
time to
because
breathe.
Suga had a tour planned, so he had no choice other than releasing his album then. Suga also couldn't have his tour later because his military enlistment date was approaching fast, so it was literally then or never. Still though, Suga's album and type of promotions are very different to Jimin's album and promotions, and if there's any new audiences listening to them for the first time, they won't be the same audiences. I also think it's even crazier to put Jimin and Suga against each other and compare their promotions when this opportunity gave us a
it's crazy to compare basically everyone's promotions.
and Suga against each other and compare their promotions
None were
when
the
this
same.
opportunity gave us a lot of really cool promotion crossovers.
Oh,
I
wait,
still understand however
I remember
this
that
gave us
video.
a lot of really cool promotion crossovers. I still understand however that the Face era was a little frustrating because since it had some promotions in America, it had success in America and the American media did not like that. I have a whole video
I
about this
remember
problem,
that.
but in a few words, Jimin's
Yeah.
quote-unquote mistake was not paying for radio and playlisting in streaming platforms, which is
Wait.
quote-unquote mistake was
Now, I remember when this happened, Like Crazy appeared, Hot 100 #1. It was doing really well, and then suddenly, boom, they changed some rules, which caused it to like not have as many streams and caused it to drop. That was some bullshit.
was not paying for radio and playlist,
But
but in a few
not paying
words,
for radio? Alright, Jimin's mistake
Jimin's
was
quote-unquote mistake was not paying for
not paying for radio and playlisting and streaming platforms. Oh yeah, I've heard about that. How people pay to have their song on like the radio and played so that it gives them more streams.
radio and playlisting
10 million streams, 0.1 million airplay audience. Oh, so that's where it affected him. 0 radio points. Wait, people pay for their song on the radio? Or is it that you're not supposed to, but people still do it, just for that radio play.
in streaming platforms, which is illegal and BTS would never. So the sabotage by American media was hard. But again, this has
Very
nothing
hard.
to do with ARMY's efforts, HYBE's efforts, and much less Jimin's efforts. Jimin's schedule was precise, effective, and more than enough. Other complaints appeared when Jungkook had his solo debut, because it looked like he was also promoting for a global pop audience, but he had a wider variety of global promotions.
They'll probably talk about Jungkook later, but when it comes to Jungkook, like clearly he was trying to make a global hit, you know, with his
However,
song.
I actually believe Jimin and Jungkook's target pop audiences were completely different. I'll talk about Jungkook's debut later, but Jimin's pop style and his new audience that likes songs like Crazy
Both pop, but I guess there's different like styles to it.
may crossover with the audiences that like these current popular songs by Dua Lipa and Troye Sivan. I know the sound of these songs are not that similar, but I'm just trying to paint a picture. These type of pop songs have a stronger feminine and glamorous element, and they have this disco house synth style that it's kind of trendy these days.
Yeah, that's how like Crazy felt.
Both Boy With Love featuring Halsey and Butter featuring Megan Thee Stallion are pop songs, but the general public that likes Boy With Love featuring Halsey is not always the same general public that likes Butter featuring Megan Thee Stallion. Jimin's solo debut is
I mean, and even if they were the same style and same target audience, you know, sometimes some people just like one song more than other, and they can't really explain why.
a little closer to Boy With Love, while Jungkook's solo debut is a little closer to Butter, so their promotions are going to be different. Because Jimin's pop style is friendlier to the general public than the other solo debuts up until this point, like Crazy, 73 Part 2, and the album Fit, and the other solo debut.
It's friendlier than the other solo debut. So before this was J-Hope, Jin, RM. I mean, I don't know if it's like friendlier. I don't see why any of the other would not be friendly, but I think it's just because pop and the style, it just does better. And of course, he did some promotions in the US.
It's up until
He had an English version.
this point, like Crazy, 73 Part 2, and the album Face broke multiple records in mainstream charts and platforms like Billboard, Spotify,
it did do
and
well.
Korean charts. The achievements of other members like J-Hope and RM are different because the promotions were different, because the target audiences were different. So once
I mean,
again,
look, we just have to say it. This was one thing I was worried about, right? Results like these, because also, like, you could just look at their Instagram followers. I mean, some members clearly have a lot more followers than others, so maybe with their music it was going to be a similar story, that some were going to have more streams and more popularity than others.
different because the promotions were
And that's just
different,
the truth.
because the target audiences were different. So once again, this BTS solo project was successfully recognized by its desired audience.
Because I mean, I see that a lot of some of the members' fans only like them because they think they are good looking, and that's gonna cause that fan to wanna support his music. I mean,
Audience.
that happens a lot.
The next BTS member to officially debut was Suga under his alternative alias Augusty with his album D-Day. Suga's promotions
his was
were
real
really unique,
interesting.
and it took me days to figure out the promotion strategy and if there was even one.
Yeah,
Because
like, did he
although
even have
D-Day
one?
is a hip-hop album, the style of promotions were closer to promotions being done by experienced South Korean artists targeting a non-K-pop Korean demographic. To start, Suga created and became the host of his own show,
Legendary
Suchita,
show.
in which he interviews other South Korean artists while having some drinks. The editing style is dynamic and the conversations are very casual, so the show feels
Yeah, I
like
mean, and they're drinking and eating during it. Like, what other interviews like
a
this?
combination of the high production of a talk show with the casualness of a podcast. These shows, where the artist is the interviewer, are actually very common among South Korean artists who have been in the industry for a while. This is what I mean by the typical Korean promotion by experienced artists.
So experienced artists like having these like more casual type of interviews.
This is an actual promotion strategy. Weavers magazine has an article about it. So you may think that Suga is going to adhere to this style of promotions. Well, yes, but not exactly. Suga seemed comfortable continuing this Korean style of promotions, but he's going to direct it at a global audience. So even if his promotions don't always necessarily align with a global hip-hop audience or an indie audience or a pop audience, it will still bring the attention from different types of global audiences while at the same time giving itself a constant cleanup. So I think Suga's promotion strategy was, if you're open-minded and you like me and my music, good for you. And if you don't, I don't care. I'm serious. You just need to look at everything.
That sounds like something he would do, but
good for you.
Yeah, I guess. Well, they did say right. They had a hard time figuring out his strategy because yeah, he did quite a lot of different things. Maybe he didn't even have a strategy. He was just like, you know what? These are the things I want to do. Just let me do it.
And if you don't, I don't care. I'm serious. You just need to look at everything he's done. First, Suga released his pre-release single, People Part 2, which is a collaboration with IU, a beloved singer in South Korea who also has her own show. As part of the People Part 2 promotions, Suga hosted his own radio show and was a guest star at IU's show a couple of days after the song release. Both the song and music video are very calm, and I can sense the Korean concept of Han, which is common in South Korean music and BTS songs like Spring Day. The music video even has an ending scene in which Suga explains the sentiment of the song. So although it's hard for this song to be globally successful with the general public because it's not flashy, it doesn't have a choreography, and the explanation scene makes the video too long for mainstream audiences, its message, style, and feature artists work with an older Korean demographic who doesn't necessarily listen to K-pop. While the promotion for People Part
They think that's what happens with People Part 2.
Korean demographic who doesn't necessarily listen to K-pop. While the promotion for People Part 2 is friendlier to this Korean audience, the main single Haegam is friendlier to a global audience. The high-budget music video with a strong storyline immediately got the attention of global hip-hop, K-pop, and even pop audiences. Haegam is a hip-hop song with aggressive and fast-paced raps, which is what most people expect from an Augustine music video. So now Suga has the attention of a South Korean audience and a global audience. But the third single, Amygdala, will focus on his biggest audience, ARMY.
Oh, that's true. Every song, the one that had a music video, was just so different.
But the third single, Amygdala, will focus on his biggest audience, ARMY. This song and music video are extremely personal to Suga, and they explain a traumatic event for him. The song's lyrics and theme are painful and explicit, so the music video has an age restriction. While it doesn't feel
Damn, his performance to this on his last D-Day tour concert.
Right for many armies to use this single as part of a promotion schedule with a strategy and a target audience in mind, I think this trilogy of videos can once again get the attention from people who are actually interested in the story Suga is trying to tell. To truly get his music, you need to care enough to go out of your way to find his story, motives, and style of storytelling.
See, that's the thing though. The general public doesn't do that. I mean, a lot of the really popular songs don't really have much meaning or thought behind them. Sometimes, you know, the artists, they don't even write the song. Like a producer gives it to them, and that's it. And us ARMY, like when BTS does something like this, we are interested in the member, so we like reading on the lyrics and the meaning and everything, but it's not actually like necessary to make a hit or to be popular.
This is why, just like J-Hope, Suga decided to also have his own documentary on Disney+. He's basically giving every audience the opportunity to understand him and his music, but if they don't, he won't go out of his way to convince anybody. Just look at his promo activities. The documentary titled Suga Road to D-Day follows Suga on a trip around the world in the search of inspiration for his debut album, and it includes exclusive performances with a live band. Soon after, Suga started his sold-out tour around the US and Asia. Like the rest of his album promotions,
They didn't expect it to sell out so quickly, huh? They should have gone for some bigger stadiums.
Started his sold-out tour around the US and Asia. Like the rest of his album promotions,
They
this tour
underestimated
felt
its
very
power.
raw, personal, and real. He replaced the neat choreographies with performances
show was
with a
real good.
guitar and a piano. So although Suga being a guest at the Tonight Show and even playing a game with Jimmy Fallon may seem like attempts to go mainstream, Suga decided to continue his casual style of promotions and refused to speak English or dance a choreography for mainstream audiences.
I was kind of expecting to see the Hegum choreography in a live performance or concert, but yeah, he never did.
To speak English
But we did get a lot of dance
or
challenges.
dance a choreography for mainstream audiences. He still put himself out there and accepted many interviews for different radios in America. But by choosing to speak his native Korean and have a translator on his international interviews, Suga prioritized the meaning of his album and his true personality. So only the ones who are not bothered by reading subtitles will be the right new audience listening to his music. This BTS solo project was successfully recognized by its desired audience.
Alright. I mean, yeah, very interesting to go through what Yoongi did because it was hard to pinpoint exactly what he wanted to do. But hey, he got to do a tour, and you could tell whenever he would talk about it that he was very appreciative and happy about being able to perform and do a whole bunch of concerts. So I'm glad. But again, it seems like the rap line, I don't know if it's just because rap doesn't do as well as pop or stuff like that, but it's kind of hard to get to the top like that with that type of music. But
Recognized by its desired audience.
because look, we got Jungkook now, and I mean, he released 7, and we all know how that went. I mean, #1
The
for
next
quite a
BTS member to
while,
officially debut was Jungkook with
and all he did was release a single, so it
his
was
single 7. Now, up
pretty crazy
until
what he
this point,
achieved.
all of the sounds and styles of the solo works have been pretty predictable. J-Hope has already released hip-hop music. Jin has already released pop rock music. RM has already released these experimental styles of music. Jimin has already released pop music. And Suga's album is the third part of a project going on for years. But Jungkook's 7 came as a surprise to some armies because it's not something many would expect from BTS. To start,
right. Nah, yeah, especially since we already heard 3D, right? He's going for this more Western style. Like, I'm pretty sure he didn't even write the songs, right? I think like he just had a American producer give him the song and he sang it, which is fine because clearly his intentions right now aren't to express some sort of meaning or to say something through lyrics. Now, right now, he's clearly just trying to make these songs to make a hit, to sing something that is gonna do well and perform something that a lot of people are gonna like. He'll feature American artists, which probably helps so that American music industry doesn't sabotage him. Because like 3D with Jack Harlow, like what happened with Jimin, they probably just like sabotaged the song on the Billboard because they're not making money out of it. They're like, oh yo, just change the rules a bit and like Crazy's gonna drop down. But I think since Jungkook has American artists with him in the song, maybe that stops Billboard and other music companies from sabotaging it because they're like, wait a minute, he's got an American artist, we can benefit from this.
Because it's not something many would expect from BTS. To start, 7 is a pop song of the UK garage genre, and it has two main versions. A clean version about wanting to spend every moment of every day with one's lover, and an explicit version which expresses a more sexual desire.
Crazy how one single word can change the meaning of the song.
Combine this with Jungkook's commercials as a new ambassador for Calvin Klein and 7's promotional campaign, and you can see a clear new image of Jungkook as an artist.
a very sexy
Both versions of the song
type of
feature
image.
the American rapper Latto, and the music video features the South Korean actress Han Soo-hee as Jungkook's girlfriend. The promotions were focused on 3 countries: the US, the UK, and South Korea. In the US, Jungkook had an interview and performed 7 on the day of its release in New York as part of Good Morning America's summer concert series. He then had interviews with Spotify and
Yeah,
radio
even though it was just one song, he also did quite a lot.
shows like Odyssey Music, The Elvis Duran Show, Sirius XM, C100 New York, and iHeartRadio. In the UK, Jungkook had an interview and performed on BBC's The One Show and on BBC Radio 1's Live Lounge. In
Yeah,
South
JK
Korea,
went worldwide.
Jungkook only performed in the K-pop music show in Kigayu, but that one performance was enough to make Jungkook the most awarded K-pop soloist this year
Damn, wait, those awards for 7? What?
across different K-pop shows. As well, Jungkook released
He basically just arrived to steal the awards.
soloist this year across different K-pop shows. As well, Jungkook released 3 EPs of remixes: the weekday version, the weekend version, and the Alesso remix. The physical CDs were produced by Hype America, and they did not have the regular style of a BTS single album like Jeans the Astronaut, for example. Instead,
Oh, we gotta remember he does have a mini album coming up, so he'll probably have a physical album for that.
this CD was a simple CD, more common in the US. This is nothing new. BTS has already released simple CDs, vinyls, and cassettes like this for their US singles. This style of promotions in the US helped Jungkook become the second BTS member to get a #1 song on the Hot 100 as a solo artist. In a few words, Jungkook's promotion schedule included a lot of the activities artists do to make their song go mainstream.
Yeah,
However,
exactly.
because
Clearly.
a lot of the activities artists do to make their song go
That's what I'm seeing right now, because I've seen the complaints of a lot of people saying that Jungkook didn't write his song, that Jungkook is just trying to do this like a Western type of music. But yeah, what is wrong with that though? Yeah, you could see with 3D, with 7, that he's trying to go mainstream. He's trying to make a song just for it to be a hit. You know, as for all the other members, they had some personal meaning behind their album and their songs. Jungkook right now is not doing that. He just wants to make a song that will do really well, is going to hit that #1, is going to be streamed a lot, which is fine. You know, he's got an album coming up. Maybe in that mini album we haven't seen yet is where he will share his personal thoughts and put meaning behind the lyrics and write the songs. We're gonna have to wait and see. For now, he just wants to enjoy this feeling of, I guess, being this solo artist who's a big success and is mainstream and makes hits.
go mainstream. However,
I think it's pretty
because
cool
the
for
song
him.
is explicit, it caters a Western mainstream audience, and it doesn't have a profound message like the other BTS solo projects. Some people think it's too westernized and that it doesn't feel like a BTS song. While I
mean,
do agree that
Well, that's because it's not a BTS song, though. That's the whole point of these solo albums.
think it's too westernized and that it doesn't feel like a BTS song. While I do agree that 7 is mainly targeted at Western audiences and the general public, why is this surprising or even
Yeah, exactly.
disappointing to some fans? I think this is happening because sometimes armies don't truly accept BTS as their pop culture image. They see them through their wholesome, family-friendly, philosophical image only. And this can sound very nice, but I think this is the reason why 7 can come as a shock to them. And to be honest, I'm a little tired of this because it's like some armies want BTS to be the artist they want them to be, not the multidimensional artists BTS truly are and want to be recognized as.
Exactly. It does get pretty tiring when the members do something and then there's just people complaining.
Because it's always the same story. BTS shows versatility. People say this is not what I expected from them. BTS released DNA, it sounds too Western.
What?
BTS
They said
released
that about
Boy With
DNA?
Love, it sounds too Western and it lacks meaning. BTS released Dynamite, it sounds too Western, it lacks meaning, and it's in English.
Okay, so
the K-pop fantasy
people
is
been
broken.
complaining for a
BTS
long
released
time
Butter,
now.
it
Nothing
sounds
new.
too Western, it lacks meaning, it's in English, and they only care about Western success.
I mean, look how well those songs did, though.
Too Western, it lacks meaning, it's in English, and they only
It's like you're telling them, all right, you know what? If you need to make songs that are meaningless and stuff like that to be successful, we don't want you to be successful then. What?
Care about Western success. BTS released Permission to Dance. It sounds too Western, it lacks meaning, it's in English, they only care about Western success, and it was not written by the BTS members.
I mean, hey, they try to be global, clearly.
Now, Jungkook releases 7.
This is how they became so popular and famous and why everyone around the world knows
About
them.
Western success, and it was not written by the BTS members. And now, Jungkook releases 7, but it sounds too Western, it lacks meaning,
Same story
it's in
again.
English, they only care about Western success, it was not written by a BTS member, and it's too explicit. But like I said a million times
Bro, who cares about the explicit part?
already, BTS makes music that attracts completely different audiences,
Oh, yeah,
and this
they got
is
a lot
not
of
new
genres.
at all. Some people say that Jimin's song was also mainstream pop, but at least 2
Oh
BTS
my
members
gosh.
were songwriters, and it has meaningful lyrics.
Bro, what? Was also mainstream,
But at least 2 BTS members were songwriters,
so that made it okay?
and it has meaningful lyrics.
I mean, I'm glad they're part of the writers, but again, I'm not complaining about Jungkook not writing 7.
BTS members were songwriters, and it has meaningful lyrics. But it looked like these fans are ignoring the past years of BTS's career. Wasted on Me, Dynamite, Savage Love, Butter, Permission to Dance, and Bad Decisions
they've done it
were
before.
targeted at the Western general public. While still releasing the regular hip-hop, pop, and R&B songs, BTS promoted one song with the purpose of being the mainstream song that can actually get recognized in Western media like Billboard and the Grammys. Once again, they did it.
Yeah, exactly. They have these songs and then they still got their albums, which is what people like, apparently. The meaningful lyrics, the stuff that they write that expresses their
all the
feelings
time.
and
While
thoughts.
continuing their meaningful Korean discography, BTS has released an English project for Western
They never
audiences
forgot
and
about
a
it.
Japanese project for Japanese audiences. So I don't know why this is suddenly a surprise. And
Oh, yeah.
Jungkook's global project for Japanese
Yo, they've always been doing this whole Japanese content as well. Japanese albums, Japanese fan meetings. Do people complain about that? Like, oh, they're only releasing this because they're catering to the Japanese market. What?
audiences. So
Or do they only complain when it's the Western market?
I don't know why this is suddenly a surprise. And Jungkook's global promotion worked. 7 has been the #1 song worldwide for weeks, and I won't be surprised if it's nominated for American award shows. And this makes a lot of sense. Think about BTS's old competition, mainstream hip-hop based duets with explicit lyrics.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
it's
you know
easy
that.
to judge these songs for being too
Explicitness, apparently, I guess, does well, to be honest.
explicit or meaningless.
In the Western
truth
media.
is that this is what the general public listens
Yeah.
to, and a song doesn't have to be clean or have multiple layers of meaning to be a good song. Actually, there was one time when an interviewer had the same criticism for one of the songs competing with Dynamite back in 2020, but BTS disagreed with the interviewer and defended the song.
카디비
네.
WAP
Oh, they're talking about Cardi B?
가능할지.
아니 그거 그냥 댄스 챌린지로 유명한 거지 별거 아니에요 노래는
Whoa!
저 얘기는 아니에요.
So just
Oh well.
아니에요
Alright.
노래는
Bro, of course they weren't gonna agree or say something that like they agree with that. Nah, that would basically be them talking shit on other artists. They wouldn't do that. That's why they quickly just said no.
저 얘기는
Oh wow.
So just because a song is explicit
Damn, yo, those interviewers really just gave no F's.
doesn't mean that it's bad or dirty.
당신을 엿먹이는 것과 당신을 사랑하는 것은 같은 것이 아닙니다. 서양 아티스트로서 더티 버전을 만든 이유는 무엇입니까?
Bro, I can't believe people complain about this. It's like, oh, yo, Jungkook, you made a sexual song. How could you?
그게 왜 더티 버전이야? 그게 왜 더티 버전인데? 이유를 설명을 해봐. 이유를 설명을 해봐. 익스플리시트 버전인데. 그냥 솔직한 거잖아. 뭐 그렇게 느껴졌다면은 뭐 어쩔 수 없지만 어떻게 보면 나이가 몇이냐 내가.
Yeah, like how old is he,
저도
man?
이제 나이가
27.
27인데 나이 먹으니까
Some people still treating him like he's a baby.
있는 촬영을 또 하게 되네요. 그런 걸 싫어하는 분들도 계시겠지만
Wait, what?
노출이
Some
있는
people don't
촬영을
like
하게
these
되네요.
photo shoots.
그런 걸
Who are those people?
싫어하는
Are they
분들도
blind?
계시겠지만
7 is actually the perfect song for today's pop. It has a female rapper as a featured artist, and Jungkook's pop voice makes the song fresh, modern, and the perfect adaptation of the typical modern mainstream song. Despite some people's beliefs, I see the care of a regular BTS project in this song too. It's well produced, polished, and not a typical lazy song done exclusively to fool people into streaming it. Whether Jungkook decides to make a full album in English targeted at a Western audience like Butter, a self-produced Korean album like Map of the Soul 7, or a mix of both like Jimin's Face, I'll support because they are experimenting with their solo careers and finding their personal sound and target audience. So
yeah, exactly. Everyone's just experimenting. This is their first time doing this after all, so we should just be supportive.
Once again, this solo project was successfully recognized by its desired audience.
Yeah, it did really well, but again, Jungkook clearly just wanted to do something that was mainstream. And hey, just let him, alright? His song is reaching #1. He's doing some American promotions, doing songs with American artists. You know, just let him do his thing. Now V, the last member.
The last BTS member to debut as a solo artist is V with his
Very
album
interesting
Layover.
album.
These promotions have started not long ago, but we can already see what kind of audience Taehyung is promoting to. However, complaints by solo stans were out before the album was out. They claim that the label is purposefully not doing any promotions and that Taehyung is doing everything himself by sharing his projects on social media.
Huh? Bro, why would they do that? He's the member with the most Instagram followers. If anything,
and that Taehyung is doing
they would want to help him out.
Everything himself by sharing his projects on social media. This idea that HYBE is constantly trying to sabotage the artist that brings them the most money is pretty silly. But it's funny.
Yeah, like that's why I never take these complaints seriously. Whenever someone says, "Oh, HYBE is sabotaging the artist," it's like, no, they're trying to make the most money out of them. That's the goal of the company. So why would they sabotage them? Makes no sense.
How it's always the solo fans who complain about favoritism. Just like every
at this point, HYBE is probably doing their best to keep BTS happy because they are their biggest group and make them the most money, you know? So maybe nowadays what the members want, they can do, since HYBE just basically needs to keep them happy so that they don't leave the company.
BTS solo project.
And I guess it worked, right? Didn't we get some news recently that some of the members renewed their contract?
We need to understand and accept that their music is different. Layover is very different to all the BTS solo projects, so the promotions are going to be very different as well. Just like most of V's music as part of BTS, Layover is R&B with elements of soul and pop. Therefore, the performances and interviews will fit the promotions for an R&B project.
More
so
casual
don't
and
focus
chill.
on every mainstream promotion Taehyung didn't do. Focus on how he is choosing alternative mediums for promotion.
All his promotions have some calm vibe to it.
To start, Taehyung released 5 different music videos, one for each song of the album. This is already huge. The maximum number of music videos a BTS member has released for one album is 3. A pre-release,
3 was already a lot.
And a follow-up. But Taehyung has 2 pre-releases, a main release, and 2 follow-ups. This is a new strategy that I wanted BTS to try.
He did do 5 music videos, but they were all like pretty simple, right? They were all recorded in Spain. They were able to record all the videos in like a couple of days. Like Love Me Again, just V in a cave singing. He did 2 shots, right? Because he had 2 outfits. Slow Dancing, him hanging out with friends. Blue was just mostly him in that apartment area. For Us, it was literally just the behind the scenes of all the other videos. So yeah, he did 5, but they were all somewhat simple, right? You know, there was nothing too crazy because they couldn't make 5 music videos and have everyone be in a different place, have this whole set for them. but still, they were pretty good.
For a while. Think about these popular albums. Their promotions
And
included music
the videos did express the song really well.
videos for multiple of the album's songs. This prolongs the artist's promotion schedule and it helps each song of the album become popular, not just one song or two. So if we concentrate on
makes sense. Usually the songs with the music videos are the ones that do the best, because it's the one they're usually promoting the most.
this R&B project's promotion strategy, let's think about every door Taeyeon opened for himself by releasing these many music videos. His debut performance was not at a Western show or a K-pop show or a festival. It was on a new Korean music show that slows down chart competition by announcing an artist of the month, not a song of the week, which usually exhausts the artist and the fandoms. This show is also more personal than a festival or a Western TV show. So for this kind of calm album, this debut stage feels right. On K-pop shows, artists normally perform 1 or 2 songs, 3 being the maximum number of performances. But this specific K-pop show let Taeyeon perform 4 of his songs at once. Why am I mentioning this? Because the only reason Taeyeon was able to perform his entire album on K-pop TV shows was because he released music videos for the entire album. For Inky,
I see. He was trying to promote every single song of the album, because he did a music video for all of them, and he did a performance for all of them
he
too.
performed the main single Slow Dancing and Rainy Days. For Mnet, he performed Slow Dancing and Love Me Again. For Music Band, he performed Slow Dancing.
I thought he had forgotten about For Us, because it took like 3 performances for him to finally do it.
And For Us.
I was getting nervous.
For M-Pop, he performed Slow Dancing, Love Me Again, Rainy Days, and Blue. It's genius. Taeyeon was able to promote his entire R&B album on K-pop TV shows. This is the first time an artist has done this successfully. But it doesn't end here. Taeyeon did not only choose this new K-pop TV show with less than 60,000 subscribers as an alternative medium. He also was one of the first artists to perform on the new series Tiny Desk Korea. This is
Tiny Desk, but for Korean artists?
A new show, part of NPR's Tiny Desk concert series, which features only South Korean artists. That Taeyeon performance was released on both Tiny Desk Korea and NPR's Tiny Desk concert. So he is, in a way, promoting his Korean R&B album to a global audience. Finally, Taeyeon became the first member to promote in Japan. This is also very smart, because if there's any country with a big market who would listen to an R&B Korean album, is Japan, the second biggest music market in the world. These interviews and performances helped Taeyeon show his warm and soulful personality to an audience that is more likely to consume this kind of project. His personality is also reflected on the style of photo shoots and the 3 physical albums he wanted to release. These music videos, teasers, interviews, and media articles are planned, organized, and shared not only by V but also by HYBE and BTS on all of their social media platforms. If you expect Taeyeon to have HYBE and BTS on all of their social media platforms. If you expect Taeyeon to have the numbers of pop releases or the type of promotions of the hip-hop releases, you are crazy, because he never intended to promote to those audiences.
And I guess it is kind of weird to think about him doing those type of promotions for an album like this.
For an R&B album, Layover is huge, and this BTS solo project is successfully being recognized by its desired audience.
Oh wait, we're talking about BTS as well?
Let's not forget that although BTS are on their era of solo music, they are still releasing music as a group.
We only got like 2 songs, didn't we?
After the solo promotions started with J-Hope, BTS promoted their song Run BTS.
We had the concert. That's true.
OST.
Yeah, I forgot that J-Hope did his solo stuff, and then afterwards we had
song for an animated film, and they released Take 2 as part of their 10th anniversary celebration. Just like every other solo project and group project, these songs have different sounds, so they have different audiences, so they have different promotions. Run BTS is a song that is friendly to K-pop audiences. It's fast-paced, it has a choreography, it's a song
Too bad they couldn't perform it on TV though. It got freaking banned.
That is friendly to K-pop audiences.
A good thing
It's
we added the Busan
fast-paced,
concert.
It has a choreography and it shows a ton of energy. So they released a dance practice, performed it at their Busan concert, and released a lot of TikTok videos with K-pop artists. The Planet is a song
It was just as cool as I thought it would be.
for an animated
even more.
series about a young idol group with superpowers. So the genre is
Alright.
pop and the style is simple.
I mean, I listened to the song, but the show,
But energetic.
I didn't really get too interested in it, to be honest.
Promotions are all related to the show, and they have a
I don't even
younger
know if it's
audience
out
in
yet.
mind. Take Two is a classical letter song for armies.
Take
It
Two?
was written and produced by BTS members, and it has the classical BTS sound when it comes to slow pop, R&B, ballad songs. Like
Yeah, I mean, it
mentioned
was clearly a song for ARMY.
before about V's project,
Kinda like
this
Jin.
style of songs actually work pretty well on Japanese audiences. So it debuted at number 6 on the Billboard Japan Hot 100 with no music videos, remixes, or anything. But it's pretty clear that the main audience for this song is ARMY. So it charted
It
well
was
on
for
pretty
us.
much every global chart. Basically, every one of these songs had the right promotions for each of their audiences. We need to see the solo projects and their promotions like this too.
Now complete.
Maybe for some, this analysis of each solo promotion was unnecessary and obvious, but I had to
I mean, sometimes even if it is obvious, just going through it makes you
do it because
realize
I
a lot of
received
things.
so many messages by armies who don't consider themselves solo stands being confused about why some members had
I mean, that's-
quote-unquote more
that's fair.
opportunities than others. Some
I mean, the whole point was not to compare, but I could see why. I guess kind of like with children or where you're comparing your child with someone else's child. It's like you're not really supposed to, and everyone knows you're not really supposed to, but you still kind of do it.
were genuinely confused by Jungkook's explicit lyrics, RM's minimalistic promotions, and J-Hope's lack of physical albums. So I hope I helped calm the confusion at least a little. Armies need to accept that BTS are real multidimensional artists. They are 7 artists with different visions, styles, and journeys in their music. Of course, their promotion schedules are going to be different. Sure, armies are the main audience listening to their solo projects, but the BTS members are going to perform and accept interviews on the shows that they feel the most comfortable showcasing their music.
That is
Don't
true.
expect the global BTS style of promotions for every solo project and cry when that doesn't happen. Think about the sound and their personalities individually.
Oh yeah, I guess some people do complain because it's like they want every member to be as global as possible when clearly it seems like some of them didn't want that or didn't try to achieve that with their solo
Their
albums.
solo projects align with the solo songs they had on BTS albums, so accept the BTS members as the multidimensional artists they are. Trust them and their decisions, especially in this solo era.
잘 이겨나가고 여러분과 또 행복하게 공연하고.
It's so dumb how BTS have told us plenty times, a lot of times to trust them, and there's still so many ARMY that don't.
도망 만들고
It's
할
like,
거니까 호석이가 얘기했던
what more
것처럼
can
부디
BTS
믿음을
do
가져주시길
to
바라겠습니다.
explain to them? Alright, well, so this video was about going through every single member's solo projects, seeing what they did and the promotions that they did. And it was basically something similar to what I always thought. Every member had a different vision, had a different style of music that they wanted to try out, and had different ideas for what their promotion should be. And obviously, some albums and songs were going to do better than others. Why? Well, because many reasons. The genre, the promotions that they did, and also the desire of the artist. You know, like I said, Jungkook clearly wanted his song to be very mainstream, while some of the other members, it seems like they didn't care about it. Like they just wanted to release an album to express themselves, and the results, that whatever happened happened. They didn't think too much about it. Also, I don't see why HYBE would sabotage their members or make them mad or disappointed, because at the end of the day, BTS is making them a lot of money. So if they were to make BTS upset and make them not renew their contract, well, that would be a disaster. So whenever the members want to do something, you know, HYBE probably makes sure they can do it. But I did want to read the comments, see if I find any counter arguments, because I'm curious about what people who disagree think. So this comment says, I have preferred some solo music over others, and that's okay. Not everything is for every person. True. Also would explain the results that every member had, because most ARMY don't actively try to help the members chart at the top. No, most of them literally just listen to what they like, and that's it. So this comment says that ARMY does not support their solo work, that BTS has 63 million followers on Spotify, 32 million monthly listeners. However, Suga, RM, J-Hope, and Jin barely have 4 million monthly listeners. Jimin has 8.4, Tae has 12, and Jungkook a lot with 32. So like I said a while ago, most ARMY aren't the type to try to support every single one. A lot are just people who only listen to BTS because they like their music. So if there's a song that they don't like, they just don't listen to it. Also, BTS has a lot of non-ARMY listeners. Like, I literally have cousins who do not like K-pop at all, and they don't even like that type of music, but sometimes in their Spotify playlist they have like a few BTS songs, which surprises me. So situations like those give BTS monthly listeners, even though those people like don't even know BTS that well. It happens a lot. They probably just have a few BTS songs that they like, and they'll have it in their Spotify playlist, and that's it. And maybe they don't even know that the members have solo projects. Also, with the fact that Jimin, V, and JK have more streams, a lot more actually, just look at their Instagram followers, alright? They probably have a lot of fans who literally only like them because they think they're good looking. So if they find out that they released a song, they're gonna listen to it. I've met some RM and Suga and J-Hope biases, and usually they're people who are a dedicated ARMY. They know a lot about BTS, or some of them because they like rap and hip-hop, so it makes sense. But yeah, a majority of the Jimin, V, and Jungkook biases that I have ran into, you know, like in person, they either like them because of their voice and the type of music they do, or their looks. That's a big one, I see. But yeah, the Machne line has a lot who only care about the looks. Well, most of the comments I'm seeing are people agreeing, so that's a good thing. It's just that with the internet these days, it only takes a small group of some very loud and vocal people to cause a big problem. So yeah, everything has been explained, and I will repeat what I said in the beginning again. We don't actually know what the conversations between HYBE and the members were like and what exactly they talked about. But we do know that some of the members have renewed their contracts, so they must want to stay. And BTS have told us many times to trust them. So let's just trust them. Anyways, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.